Welcome to my cozy little corner. Today I have a recommendations video. So I have been reading a lot of historical fiction with romantic subplots, but like heavy romantic subplots. And I compiled all of my favorite ones. So far in my little historical fiction romance journey, these are my favorite historical fictions that have romance in them. Before we get into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please, based off of this list, please give me some recommendations because I'm starting to run out of ideas for books to read that are in this category. So please give me some. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is In Memoriam. This kind of started it all. I read this, if not last year, the year before last, and this is a World War One book. It is about two British boys who go to a prep school, and through some events they both end up going to the war, fighting in the war. But they are both in love with each other and refuse to tell each other about it. So the yearning in this book is amazing. It has a very very pretty lyrical writing style. Interesting to hear about World War One instead of World War Two. It's interesting to see yearning from two people who refuse to speak about their feelings. It's amazing, and I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite books of all time. The second book on this list is a new edition. I read this in January, and honestly, any chance I get to yap about it, I am there, and that is Homeseeking. So, this is a book that is set in 1945 Shanghai during the end of World War II and the resurgence of the Chinese Civil War. So, specifically, it's about these two characters, this woman and this man, who meet as children. They fall in love and then they get separated, and you're kind of following that journey of them being separated and what that means for their relationship. One of the biggest reasons why I like this one is the structure is so unique. So when you get the female's perspective, you're getting the story in chronological order. When you're getting the male's perspective, you're getting the story backward when he's like an older man and kind of reflecting. And so as the story goes on, it's kind of going like this with the perspectives until they meet in the middle. And then when they do, my heart, I love this book. This is what sparked me to really try to find books that are on this list. I feel like In Memoriam was my gateway, and then I just got bit by the bug this year. And honestly, since I've read this, I haven't wanted to read anything other than historical fiction. So that's probably what my channel is going to be for a while, to be honest. Okay, so the third one is kind of a obvious choice, and that is Hamnet. I think at this point, anyone and everyone has pretty much read Hamnet, but I had to put it on this list because this is my favorite historical fiction romances. Hamnet is obviously following Shakespeare's family without naming that he's Shakespeare, and it's kind of about the death of their son. Um, in the beginning or the first half, you are getting Agnes and Shakespeare falling in love, so you are getting that romance aspect. I think what makes this book so good is it's really about her. At the end of the day, it's from her point of view, and a lot of the stuff is about her, and he's more kind of like this outwardly figure that's not really you're not zoomed in too close on him the way you are with Agnes. The romance in this, it's phenomenal. I think that Maggie O'Farrell writes very unique historical fiction. The way she writes historical fiction is not the typical regular contemporary way of writing historical fiction. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I cannot wait to read her other books. I will say I don't think this is like you're reading it for the romance type of book, but it is a book that has, in my opinion, a great romance in it. That's also historical.
And to be clear, like, it's more of I liked the fact, like, how Maggie O'Farrell wrote them falling in love. Like, it's not like a romance you're following throughout the book. It's really just, I liked the way she wrote Agnes falling in love. And yeah, and that's why I kind of felt like it should go on this list.
The next one is Stationery Shop. I read this last month. There's a reason why this is always on TikTok. This is everywhere on TikTok. And whereas sometimes I feel like, most of the time, I feel like you can't believe the hype. I think if you like a yearning romance, if you like notebook vibes, and I cannot explain to you why the two correlate, um, you just have to read it and you'll know. Notebook vibes, fall in love and then separated. Yeah, this book's amazing. It's set amongst the 1953 Iranian coup. And that's the historical context in this book that separates the two main characters. They meet in a stationery shop, and that's how they fall in love. They meet at a stationery shop, and then the political turmoil of the time separates them, and you kind of just have to follow them and hope that they end up back together and see where they end up. Again, yearning is great. Historical context and this is great. I think that, in my opinion, home seeking and stationery shop kind of go hand in hand. Like, if you like one, you will like the other. So, okay, so the next one I want to talk about is a little different, a little not weird. It is historical fiction, technically, and it is technically a romance. If you're in the historical fiction space because that's what you like and that's why you clicked on this video, because you like historical fiction, don't let the author of this book scare you. That's going to be 11/22/63. When I was putting together this list, I was like, I kind of feel like I can't leave this book out. Do not let the fact that this is Stephen King freak you out. This has one of my favorite, like, slice of life parts in a book. It also has one of my favorite, like, romances in a book, and I just can't believe Stephen King's the one that wrote that. This is about a teacher who frequents this diner near his school, and one day when he goes to said diner, the diner owner is basically like, come here, I need to show you something. And you learn that in the back of the diner there is a gateway into, I don't remember the exact year. Basically, it's a gateway into the past, into this year. It is essentially about a guy who is trying to stop the assassination of JFK. But there is one of the best romances in this because he has to spend a lot of time waiting for that to happen because he doesn't go into the past in that exact year. I'm gonna keep saying it. The romance in this is so good. Do not let the size scare you either. I think that the page is useful and entertaining. I didn't really feel like there was a slog. That's just my personal opinion. I also do like Stephen King waffle, but other than that, like, I it has really good historical context around the murder of JFK. I think that he uses a lot of the conspiracy theories to push the narrative, which is really interesting. And then, like I said, gorgeous, gorgeous romance. Gorgeous romance. Do not let the fact that it is Stephen King and sort of sci fi because it's time travel, don't let that scare you because it's great. The next one is Island of Missing Trees. This is also a newer one for me. And oh, this book was so good. This book was so good. This is 1,000,000% going to be in my top books of this year. No doubt about it. Oh my god, I love this book. Can you tell I like this book? So, this is kind of a dual timeline story where you're getting 1970s Cyprus. There is a civil war between Turks and Greeks that are is and was going on in that time. And then you're getting early 2010s, you are getting this little girl who is grieving her mother. Oh, and then in the 1970s time, you are getting a forbidden love story between a Greek and a Turk amongst this civil war that is happening. So we have that timeline with the Civil War. We have the little girl grieving her mother. And then you have a third POV of a fig tree, which makes the entire narrative of this book so beautiful and amazing. And it allows for a lot of nature talk, but also allows for a different perspective in these two stories because we have a tree speaking on human situations. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. I didn't really know too much about the Civil War, so that was interesting to learn about, but then the forbidden love aspect and the romance between them was believable from page 1. So, yes, I highly recommend Island of Missing Trees. The next one I have is a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I think there was probably a few books I could say in this one, but this one I'm gonna go with Atmosphere. Atmosphere is Taylor Jenkins Reid's newest book, and I think it's the one that's the heaviest on the romance. Like, it's the one that's like romance is the center story. I feel like all of her books have romances, but this one just feels the most romantic to me. This is a queer love story set in the 1980s, I believe, that is surrounding space. The whole like sending people into space. It's following an astronaut. It's following a woman who wants to become an astronaut, and they have yet to send a woman in space. So it's following that timeline. And yeah, there's a gorgeous, gorgeous queer romance in this. Like, I loved it. This book had me crying. I was in tears when I read this book. Also, like, I don't know, Taylor I will read Taylor Jenkins Reid's receipts at this point. Like, I everything she writes is amazing. I feel like she really strikes a phenomenal balance between being contemporary and appealing to a wider audience, but having those pockets of deeper literary exploration, I guess. I love her. I love her books. I think honestly, I really liked this one, and I think Evelyn Hugo is still probably my favorite, but Atmosphere snuck up on me. And then also, the way that Atmosphere is written, the way that it starts, it like instantly starts with a bang. So believe me when I say that prepare to not want to put this book down. Prepare to not want to put this book down because you just want to understand what's happening and you want everything to be okay. The romance in this book is so good. The next one is kind of an obvious one as well, but I had to put it on the list because it is my favorite. And Song of Achilles. Song of Achilles. I think everyone at this point knows Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, but this is the story of Achilles and Patroclus, I think is how you say his name. Historically, they were never written as lovers, but it was always there. It was always there, and Madeline Miller rewrites that story as they are lovers, and it's so good. It's so good. I think that if you like In Memoriam, you would actually like this one as well, and vice versa. I think you get that queer yearning as well as um war, and there's just something about those two books that are like similar and different at the same time. Both have phenomenal yearning in it. Song of Achilles really has great yearning in it, but I don't feel like I need to say much about Song of Achilles because we know. The next one's an older one, and this is one that I will always bring up. I am a recovering finishing book person. I used to never be able to finish a book. I could start a book, I couldn't finish a book. And this was one of the first books I finished, and then I watched the movie, and I think I've read this book 3 or 4 times when I was younger because it was the only book I could finish. And then I reread it at the end of 2025 or at the beginning. No, I feel like it was at the end of 2025 when I finished this, but that is Water for Elephants. Um, I know this is an older one, but it's good. If you like a forbidden romance, this has forbidden romance in it as well. Is the story of a guy who's in school to be a veterinarian, and on the eve or the no, there was the day on the day that he is supposed to take his veterinarian exam, something happens and he ends up running away, having a full mental breakdown and running away. And then he ends up hopping on a circus train. And the whole entire story takes place in 1920s, on a circus train. I love this book. It is one of my favorite like aesthetics, favorite like imageries. This is a dual timeline following said guy when he's an old man, like I think he's like 90 or 93, and then he's like an early 20s in the other perspective. I tend to hate dual perspective stories when they're historical fiction because the modern timeline is always really annoying to me. Like, I have a hard time with it. Not this one. I loved the modern timeline. I think it's because it wasn't really supposed to be about what's going on right now. It was more just so about him being an older person and reflecting on his time as a youth or in his youth. Oh, it was so good. I think that the romance isn't the strongest thing in this, but it would be silly of me not to call it a romance. I think I just like Jake as a character, and I like Jake's arc as a character, and then I love the aesthetic of this. I keep saying it like that, but the imagery that this book puts forward in my head, I just love this book so bad. So yeah, um don't let it being an older book freak you out. It's definitely worth the read, in my opinion. Next, I have a book. I feel like this is lighter. This is lighter on the romance, but I want to bring it up because I just want to talk about this book. I read it like a couple days ago, and that is A Thousand Splendid Suns. This book dug a hole in my brain. This is about two women both marry the same guy, decades apart, and they end up forming an unlikely friendship. I feel like all of that just sounded like words jumbled up, but this is a great book to go into blind. Just know it spans over 30 years of Afghan history, and you're getting a lot. You're getting the Civil War, you're getting the Taliban rule, you're getting, was it the Soviet invasion? This is not an easy book to read. This is a very hard book to read. Um, but either way, I think it's definitely a worth book to read. I've recently discovered that a lot of people read this in school. I never read this in school, but man, I would have had the best time of my life if I did. This is great. I think the reason why I put it on this list is there's a tiny, tiny, tiny little subplot of romance that is a childhood lovers, like childhood friends to lovers storyline that ends up giving you a pretty satisfying ending, or like the ending to that is pretty satisfying. Even though it's a very sad story, but I love this book, and I just wanted to rave about it. So here we are, Thousand Splendid Suns. That so far is all of my favorite historical fiction books that have great romances. Subplots, yes, but like strong subplots of romance. Please, if you hear something on this list that reminded you of another book, give me that recommendation. I want to keep making these lists as I discover them because I have decided that my life's mission is to just keep, like, I think that's my genre. Like, this is my genre. I want to keep finding more and being able to make massive lists of historical fiction with great romance subplots. So, yes, I think that's all, folks. And I'll see you guys later.